Imagine turning on a televised Sunday church service, and you just see the pastor handing out stacks of cash to a viral TikTok star, one who's right in the middle of a leaked sex tape scandal.
Yeah, it sounds like reality TV.
Right, but that's not TV. That's, well, modern commercialized faith in East Africa right now. Today, for you listening, our mission is to explore this wild collision of religion, digital internet culture, and state regulation in Kenya. Okay, let's unpack this. We're looking at this massive shift toward prosperity theology.
Yeah, the idea that financial blessing is, the direct result of faith, or more specifically, your donations. And it's a really profound historical reversal, honestly.
Because the church used to be the moral compass, right?
Exactly. Religious institutions in East Africa used to be the ultimate check on state power. But now, the dynamic has flipped so radically that the state is actually stepping in to regulate the church.
Which is wild.
It is. And to understand how we got here, we have to look at how spiritual authority became this highly orchestrated family business. Take the Kanyari dynasty, for example.
Oh, yeah. Starting with prophetess Lucy Nduta. She went to prison in 2006 for faking HIV cures, right?
She did, yeah. And then her son, Victor Kanyari, basically inherited the operation and modernized the grift. What's fascinating here is how he used potassium permanganate.
Wait, what is that? Like the chemical?
Yeah, it's a chemical compound. When you mix it with water, it turns this deep, really alarming red color. So he would wash congregants' feet in water laced with this stuff.
Oh, wow.
And as the basin turned red, he'd claim it was their hidden illnesses or, curses physically bleeding out of their bodies.
That is just, the visual proof of that is crazy. It compelled them to pay his mandated fee for prayers, right?
Yeah.
They got seed of 310 shillings.
Exactly.
It's basically a spiritual pay-to-play mobile game. Like you're paying a subscription fee to avoid supernatural disaster.
That's a great way to put it. But because that revenue model relies entirely on volume, traditional sermons just weren't enough anymore. The church had to co-opt secular internet scandals to stay in the algorithmic spotlight.
Which brings us to the TikToker, Marian Naipei.
Right. So in January 2026, after her explicit videos leaked online, Kanyari actually brought her to his altar for a highly televised Sunday service. He prayed for her and publicly gifted her 50,000 shillings.
So what does this all mean? Is the pulpit just another influencer platform chasing clout now? Because I'm struggling to see the difference between outreach and a pure PR stunt.
Well, if the goal was pure outreach, the church wouldn't have abandoned her the second she threatened their brand.
Ah, right. Because more videos leaked.
Yeah. And when that happened, Kanyari dismissed her incredibly fast. He actually said, a wildcat belongs to the wild.
Yikes.
And then the whole thing just collapsed into a tabloid spectacle. Naipei went viral again, publicly claiming, quote, it's not a belly, it's a pregnancy for Kanyari.
Oh, way.
Yeah. Kanyari denied it, obviously, but by then the boundary between sacred moral authority and secular entertainment gossip was it was completely obliterated.
And this is where that constant pursuit of attention and unchecked authority takes a very dark turn.
Yeah.
The government basically had to step in.
Yeah. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the absolute breaking point was the Shakahola massacre. Over 500 followers of a completely different fringe pastor were coerced into starving themselves to death to, quote, meet Jesus.
God, the sheer scale of that horror.
It's unbelievable. And it sparked the 2024 Religious Organizations Bill. The bill requires theological degrees for church leaders, mandates strict financial audits, and literally outlaws fake miracles.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. If a handoff approach led to 500 deaths and widespread financial scams, isn't government intervention entirely justified to protect vulnerable citizens?
You'd think so, but the religious leaders opposing the bill, and it's this remarkably united front of Christian and Muslim groups, they argue it treats churches like state departments. They say it effectively gags their prophetic voice.
Because of constitutional overreach.
Right, and double taxation. Plus, they point out that Shakahola wasn't caused by a lack of legislation. It was a massive failure of local administration and police to enforce the laws that already existed.
Oh, because officers on the ground ignored the warning sign?
Exactly. Ignored warning signs and missing persons reports for months.
So it's really a battle over who actually gets to police the pulpit.
It is. And for you listening, this is a masterclass in how the digital attention economy can corrupt traditional institutions globally. It shows how moral anchors get turned into purely transactional enterprises when viral spectacle replaces actual substance.
It really does. And it leaves you with a massive question to ponder as we wrap up today. If the state successfully implements theological licensing, Who ultimately gets the power to define what a valid spiritual belief even is? Does that cure the disease of exploitation? Or does it just create a state-sanctioned monopoly on faith?